guy tried to rob me with a knife. As I was walking back home after a fun-filled night at the bar with my closest friends, my mind was still reminiscing about the laughter and good times we had shared. Little did I know that the feeling of joy would soon turn into one of fear and panic. The tap on my back startled me, and as I turned around, I was met with the sight of a masked man confronting me with a menacing knife. I felt the fear begin to grip me as he demanded I hand over all my valuables. My heart raced as I frantically tried to remember what I had in my pockets. It was a tense moment, and I couldn't help but wonder how I had ended up in this situation. Initially, I froze there, not knowing how to react in such a situation. Then, I remembered the self-defense class I took last year. It's true what they say, knowledge is power. Suddenly, I felt empowered and confident. I knew that I had the skills to defend myself if necessary. So, I focused all my energy on him and gave him the most intimidating stare I could think of. It wasn't easy, but I refused to back down. And guess what? He got scared, dropped his knife, and ran away. I felt a wave of relief and pride wash over me. Thanks to my training, I was able to handle a dangerous situation and come out unharmed. It just goes to show that you never know when your knowledge and skills will come in handy. Soon after, I have noticed something weird and rather funny. As he ran away and left, I couldn't help myself but pick the knife up and inspect it out of curiosity. So I picked it up and started looking at it. Suddenly I realized that I was looking at the toy knife in my hand and I couldn't help but chuckle at the situation. How could I have been so scared? But the truth was, the fear had felt so real in the moment. It was dark, and someone had been following me. I had just assumed the worst. But now, standing in the brightly lit police station with a toy in my hand, I realized that sometimes our minds can play tricks on us. It was a funny story to tell, and I couldn't wait to share it with my friends. Who knew a simple toy could cause such panic? It's possible that this robber had some sort of twisted sense of humor. Maybe he thought the absurdity of the situation would make his victims freeze up long enough for him to make his escape. Or perhaps he was hoping that by using a toy knife, he would avoid having to actually harm anyone. Of course, it's also possible that he was simply desperate and didn't have access to anything else. Whatever the case may be, it's clear that this robber's choice of weapon was bizarre, to say the least. It's hard to imagine anyone being truly intimidated by a toy knife, but stranger things have happened. It was a mix of horror and comedy that night, a terrifying experience that turned hilarious in the end. But one thing's for sure, I would never forget that night and will never take self-defense classes lightly ever again. Walking around late at night can be a risky business, especially in sketchy areas. It's always better to prioritize safety and call a cab instead of putting yourself in a potentially dangerous situation. Even if hailing a ride service isn't an option and you're left with no choice but to walk, it's essential to stay vigilant and aware of your surroundings. Being a hero might seem like an admirable thing, but it's important to remember that it's never worth risking your life over. A real knife could happen to anyone, and it's better to be safe than sorry.